Welcome to our fourth session. Here we are going to talk about the 7 R's of costuming. This is just adding some additional layers to the classic 3 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle pertaining to fashion and film production. The key concepts that we're going to touch upon are zero waste, ideology and practices, the 7 R's of costuming, and I will share with you applicable tips and practices for your prep, run of show, and wrap. So first of all, let's clarify what is zero waste. This is a really trendy and powerful movement that has taken off in tandem with the sort of minimalist movement, so you may already be aware of what this is. But just to narrow in on a definition, the set of principles focused on waste prevention is what zero waste is. It encourages the redesign of resource life cycles so that all products are reused. It also involves things like zero packaging, and the goal is for no trash to be sent to landfills, incinerators, or the ocean. A really amazing resource that got me started on my zero waste journey in my personal life, which then led into my zero waste exploration into my textile practice, is Trash is for Tossers. So that's a really good online resource that you can refer back to. If you are a shopper, particularly, using a reusable bag for your purchases is super important. You will save so many plastic bags from stores. And even if they're paper bags, that's still a resource. That's still an extractive process that is happening. So let's be mindful of easy practices that we can adopt to make our habits more sustainable at the workplace. Another one of those is a reusable bottle and a reusable cup. These should be part of your kit. Now let's go through these 7 R's of fashion as per Fashion Takes Action, an initiative here in Toronto. They're an amazing resource. Go to fashiontakesaction.com and you will find a lot of different case studies and pilot projects that they're involved in within fashion and sustainability. The 7 R's of fashion, as per their description, are recycle, repair, rent, reuse, reduce, resale, and repurpose. Reduce. Extend the life of your clothes by washing your clothes or your garments less. We'll reuse our water usage and energy consumption. Really, you can do a lot of things here like spot cleaning or using French cleaner in a lot of cases to keep garments fresh. And the most important thing for us in our department is to massively slow down our garment consumption. The amount of shopping that is done these days for characters is overwhelming, and it causes us often to be also over budget. So being more mindful and more clear with a specific look and a specific essence for a character is really important. Reuse. So here we're going to touch upon shopping our closet. Let your characters be proud outfit repeaters. They will ultimately be more relatable as real people and set a precedent for creating more caring relationships to our clothes. This is super important because we have a huge platform, which is film media, visual media. And through creating narratives that say, hey, it's okay to wear the same clothes, we are changing the paradigm of constant demand and constant newness. And this is huge. It really goes beyond our intention and our impact as a department. And it's a global shift. And then some other easy reuse practices are to shop thrift, consignment, and vintage. If you're comfortable and you're part of your community, you could do a costume exchange. So reach out to shows in your agency or your union or in your area and shop their closets and their stock that they're not using. Recycling is not a guaranteed process, and it's also quite an energy intensive process when it comes to textiles. Often we send things off and we sort of forget about them and we think, oh, we did our part. But the case with not only textiles, but other products as well is that recycling often doesn't happen. Things get sent to landfill because of different reasons. They're contaminated, or the recycling plant is at capacity and they cannot take anymore. But many textiles can be recycled. In this context, by recycling, we mean breaking down the materials into fibers or shreds, and then they're normally made into insulation or pillow stuffing. It's important to divert textiles from landfill. For every 1 kilogram of textiles that decay in landfill, there are 4 kilograms of carbon dioxide emitted. So let's look at research. This is a really big one, and maybe this is a better suited task for like a costume designer, an assistant costume designer, a buyer, or a PA. And if you have a sustainability PA in your production, which is becoming more of a norm these days, then this is also something that they can help you with in setting up these systems and setting up a database for yourself and for your department. So research some local independent retailers and designers. Super important to support locally. You can go to a one-of-a-kind show. You can search on Etsy. These makers that produce locally and in smaller batches that help us reduce waste and reduce our carbon footprint because we are buying kilometer zero, fewer kilometers traveled from store to your department. Also do some research on the big global brands that you want to support. You can use some apps that I will share with you a little bit more in detail later, but I will mention them here. Good On You and The Good Trade are really good databases of brands that will actually tell you about their aims in sustainability and actionable programs that they're putting in place. And you can also look into Fashion Revolution or the Ellen MacArthur Foundation that have a lot of reports on fashion and sustainability. And you can search anything from traceability, transparency, sustainability within an economic, social, or environmental lens. The next R is repurpose. So maybe it's not actually you and your department, but maybe a partnership with like a crafting hub that you can set up so that they can collect your scraps. A lot of fabric scraps from leather to laces can be used for a lot of crafting. You can make clutches, bags, totes. You can repurpose t-shirts into reusable bags or pillowcases. And also you can use your scraps for prototyping. A nifty trick also with wool sweater scraps or wool roving is to make dryer balls. And lastly, check out brands in your community, such as Pre-Loved or Reformation. They use roll ends and secondhand clothing to make new garments. Also, Patagonia Worn and Wear and Eileen Fisher have brand initiatives to repurpose, recondition, and resell their own company's garments. We know a lot about repair in the costuming department. It's really important as somebody working in costumes and in fashion or textiles to have a basic knowledge of repairing. Learn to sew a button on by hand. Learn to fix a fallen hem or patch a rip in your pants. And renting, last but not least. So in some ways, this R is not too different than the reuse R. In many ways, this R is not too different than reuse, where we want to prolong the life of a garment as much as we can and give it as many wears as we can. A really cool emerging business model that is happening in the fashion scene is the sharing economy. There are a lot of companies. Locally, we have Rent, Rock, Repeat or Studio Fitzroy. And there are similar companies, I'm sure, in your city where you can rent evening gowns and formal wear or luxury fashion. But there's also globally Fresh Fashion Library or the Lena Fashion Library in Holland and the Mister Collection in the US that are two wardrobe rental subscription services for everyday workwear and leisure wear. And this is a great way to give garments a new life, to not accumulate so much new clothes from fast fashion and to still be able to have really current and relevant looks on the show. And that is it for the 7 R's of fashion. I hope this was in some way expanding your previous knowledge already of practices in your department, and maybe gave you a couple of insights into new ones that you can take on.